Are you a smart shopper, or are you getting ripped off? Today, we're diving into a sneaky little phenomenon that you might have noticed called shrinkflation. That's right. Does your favorite bag of chips feel a little lighter? Or is your favorite chocolate feeling more like a bite than a bar? Well, you're not imagining things. Shrinkflation is the art of giving you less while charging you the same price, or sometimes even charging you more. So today, we're gonna break it down with some examples, tell you what to look for, and enjoy some misery, unfortunately, along the way. But wait, grab your magnifying glass, search for the little subscribe button, the like button, give them a click, and then comment down below what's the worst ripoff you've bought or encountered when you were out shopping. Now, back to the video. Alright, for starters, let's get some facts about shrinkflation in general. Let's go.
This is how much these Kraft Dinner and Betty Crocker cake mix boxes used to carry. And this is how much they've shrunk. But the packaging still looks the same. Shrinkflation, it's real. And people want food companies to be transparent about it.
Have you noticed that Ben & Jerry's ice cream has gotten smaller? This isn't the first brand to engage in shrinkflation.
The average person, times are a
ice
little
cream's
tough.
definitely
they
gotten
need to
smaller.
be aware of where their money is going. And if their money's getting them a little less every single month, it's something they should know about.
That
feel
cookie was
upset
crushed.
just the fact that they're being deceiving to their consumers.
Some consumer experts say shrinkflation has been going on for years. Manufacturers only need to show you the weight or volume on food packaging. They don't have to tell you when they've downsized an item, so they're not actually breaking any rules. And because shrinkflation is hard to spot, it's tough to say how common it is and whether it's getting worse. The company that makes Kraft Dinner told us they downsize their products to offset higher production costs. One industry group in Canada also
makes
backs
sense.
up that claim. General Mills, which manufactures the Betty Crocker cake mix, didn't get back to us for comment. Consumers and advocates say they want regulation. It would mean companies would have to alert shoppers when they shrink a product.
At least if they could have a specific label that says the quantity has been reduced, so at least people would know more about it and make better informed decisions.
Some countries like Brazil have already made
that
this
would be
change.
nice.
The Canadian government says it will investigate the problem, but as of yet, there's no action plan. Have you noticed shrinkflation when shopping?
Most likely, consumers started to notice more back during like the COVID time because of things like toilet paper and soaps and hand sanitizers, tissues, masks, gloves, all that type of stuff that was selling out everywhere. I think that really caused people to get price conscious, and they were seeing every sort of little increase in price as things were disappearing from stock and then coming back into stock, and the price would be higher. And I understand what she's saying there about the companies being open. Yes, that they had to offset the production costs. And while that might not be 100% true for every company, I would think most companies do use that as a valid reason because they are seeing increased costs. You know, inflation doesn't only affect the consumer, it does also affect the production companies and the distributors and, you know, everywhere along the food chain of your food. But as we'll see, this isn't just food. And while not being too overly in control, I think some laws would help. Like they had mentioned about placing placards to show when an item's total volume or mass or however they're tracking it had decreased, but its price had stayed the same or, if worse, increased. And it might not be beneficial to the store or the supermarket, but if one of them took it upon themselves to track it and to show the changes, I think it would be pretty popular with customers. And so it does make you wonder, like, was it a common trend and people just didn't catch on to it? Well, let's see.
Turns out shrinkflation was more common than we thought. A lending tree analysis
That
of
chocolate was
98
terrible.
supermarket products found that over the last 4 years, 30 of them had shrunk. The worst offenders were toilet paper, cereal, and candy companies. Angel Soft toilet paper shrank from 490 sheets in 2019 to 320 sheets in 2024. At the same time, customers paid 13.5% more per 100 sheets. Charmin, Cottonelle, and Scott's toilet paper were also listed. Frosted Flakes shrank the most per ounce in the cereal category. Raisin Bran, Cheerios, and Cocoa Puffs
And
followed
cereal.
closely behind. And Reese's Miniatures decreased the most in the candy category, shrinking 11% while increasing its price 68.2% per ounce. The entire premise of shrinkflation irks me. Shrinkflation is only a thing because companies think they can get away with it, but what we can do is stop buying their products. I think that's the only way to put real pressure on these companies to stop this practice.
Wow. So that's really interesting that they do talk about the things that I think most people see as their examples that are affecting them in their everyday life, like toilet paper, cereal, sodas. Like I remember maybe a year ago, or maybe it was 2 years ago, there was all this news about like an aluminum shortage, and so cans were going to be smaller for a time period or something like that. And they didn't have like the normal size cans of Coke and Pepsi, Mountain Dew, whatever. And then they started bringing in those smaller cans that you use for like, you know, bars and mixing drinks and things like that. And then those kind of just found a place on the shelves permanently and took up more real estate than they originally did. I do agree with what he says, is that the only reason that the companies can continue to get away with it is because we as the consumers keep buying the products. But there are situations where there's no alternative product. So a consumer is buying that because they don't really have any other option at the time. And depending upon the grocery store chain or the area you live, there might not be other options. And for a lot of communities where they don't have a big, you know, grocery store or a Walmart nearby or something like that, and have to rely on smaller convenience stores or smaller grocery stores, the options are probably limited. And I wouldn't think that's 100% true that it's all companies just doing this and getting increased profits. I would think that the smaller companies, not the mega corporations, the smaller companies are definitely hurting. People talk about shrinkflation at restaurants and when you go out to eat and things like that, but most restaurants barely scrape by and are able to stay open. I mean, just look at how many restaurant chains in the US have recently had to close, sell off, or completely go bankrupt. And yes, he did mention the chocolate, which I think everybody has caught on to by now, just like this next guy.
All right, what in the honey I shrunk the kids is this, Reese's? Look at the size of this thing.
Don't let the dog eat it.
It's the size of a nickel? Is this what the kids are dressing for, spending money on costumes for this little thing? This isn't even a taste of a Reese cup. What are we doing here? Shrinkflation is at a hand, okay? I'm not going and spending 20 bucks for 100 of these little guys, okay? This is absurd. They used to be this big.
That'd probably still be a good
deal. It takes
deal.
about 7 of these to fill it. That is ridiculous. You know what? Do better, but like this is just pathetic. Wow.
Yep, so he's definitely not the first person to figure out that chocolate and candy has definitely been affected by shrinkflation. And oddly enough, that little tiny Reese's that he had that was in the bag, I started finding those in my kids' candy because Halloween was almost like 3 weeks ago now. And yeah, when you used to get these little single cups, they would just be the ones that's wrapped up in the foil, and that's how they come, just in the foil. So I was thinking at first when I saw this, oh, this is gonna be something that's like slightly bigger. No, it's just the ones that would be in the foil, but they're not in the foil, they're in the plastic packaging, which maybe is cheaper to do. And like also Hershey's, I can feel and I know that these were the size that usually came in the little tin foils as well. But now it's inside the plastic. These used to be a little bit bigger. They were a little bit longer. You could break it in half because it had the little spot in the center to snap it. It's like the same deal here. And back to the Reese's, all of my kids' candy were like that. It was like, okay, this very, very small one, and then these two right here, this one is 0.55 ounces, and then this one is 0.75 ounces. And like, they are almost identical. And then you can feel like the original that comes with two, 1.5 ounces. So, I mean, maybe this is closer to how everybody remembers them. Totally agree there. Candy, especially chocolate, is a tragic example of shrinkflation. And if you follow the news at all, you've probably seen a few articles about the rise in cocoa prices. So yeah, cereal, candy, chocolate specifically, that type of stuff's bad, but what else? Let's find out.
Goldfish just went from 30 ounces to 27 ounces and it's still $10. Pure Leaf iced tea went from 18.5 ounces to 16.9 ounces. This pizza sauce went from 440 grams to 400 grams. We're seeing this a lot in
minus 40
too.
grams.
This linguine went from 900 grams to 750 grams.
Minus
Hot sauce went
150
from 1,000
grams.
grams to 970 grams. And another hot sauce going from 650 milliliters to 550 milliliters. This one was sad because I feel like they're using less quality material. Q-tips going from 0.5 grams down to 0.4 grams. Tide laundry detergent went from 154 fluid ounces to 146 fluid ounces. Dove already
That
did this
I've
with their bars of
noticed.
soap, but their body wash is going from 34 ounces down to 30.7 ounces. Takis Fiesta size went from 20 ounces down to 17 ounces. That's approximately 36 less Takis. These coffee crackers went from 45 grams to 39 grams. And yeah, they forgot to change the label. Pure gum took a massive hit from 72 pieces down to 55 pieces,
gum.
and these are the same exact price. And our beloved Bounty paper towels have gone from 92 sheets to 91 sheets, and they're currently at 86 sheets.
Doesn't matter what you eat, almost everything was feeling the squeeze on the shrinkflation. And that's just destroying your purchasing power as a consumer, trying to get groceries for your family, and just everything is getting smaller. And like he showed there, got smaller, price didn't change, and they didn't update the label either. And I'm a huge gum chewer, and I have definitely noticed that. Gum prices are ridiculous. I only get them if I can get like a buy one get one free on like the big tubs that maybe come with like 60 pieces. And yes, the laundry detergent, definitely those are continually getting smaller and the price is going up. Another thing, I try to only get buy one get one free or get it in a large size for a lower price at somewhere like Costco. But yep, tea, pasta, sauces, everything. Crackers, cookies, everything's affected. And I was in just as much shock as my bro coming up.
Guys, shrinkflation is real. I bought this container of oatmeal 1,000,000 times, all right? And every single time I pour it into this jar. And each time it fills it to the very top, like you can't even put in another grain of oatmeal. But look at it today. It's like 2 inches from the top. Look at that. That's like 25%, 20%, something like that. Things are getting bad. Guys, every dollar counts these days, all right? These companies are pinching pennies on us, cutting down our oatmeal size containers, and making us pay the same price. We gotta look out for ourselves and every one of our dollars, okay? If you're not shopping at Walmart or Aldi, which in my opinion are the 2 cheapest grocery stores, you're throwing money away. Sorry, Kroger, I live in Cincinnati. Sorry, Giant Eagle, for all you Yinzers back in Pittsburgh. You're throwing money away.
Yep, I have a bowl of oatmeal probably 6 out of the 7 days of the week. It's always my breakfast, if not eggs. We're not even gonna talk about eggs. And those oatmeal containers have definitely done some sort of technology to make them appear the same size, but you're definitely getting less. And what he did there by having like a reusable container, like that glass that he had on his countertop, so he's putting his oatmeal in there as soon as he gets it, that's one of those ways where you could really track and see how much you're getting, because sometimes it's not perfect. We'll see a few examples of that too. You have a certain size on the package, and then when you get it out and weigh it yourself, it's not correct. So yep, oatmeal, we might have to break up if your price ain't gonna go down. So you might be wondering, why is this middle-aged dude who's totally past his prime harping so much on grocery bills and shrinkflation and everything like that? Because I was affected by it brutally. And so 2 weeks ago, I posted a short about what I encountered. Let's take a quick look, but I don't know if I can watch and relive the memory.
Is it just me, or does this Big Mac look ridiculously tiny?
Oh my God. I usually stick to nugs, but no, that day I wanted a Big Mac. And that Big Mac that I got was the smallest hamburger I have ever seen. Like, I'm not a huge dude, but that thing was smaller than the inside of my hand. The patty was like that big. It was probably close to the size of one of these Reese's cups. And not only that, but it didn't have a lot of the Big Mac sauce or the lettuce, and the bottom bun was so thin. And not only that, when they brought it out on the tray, because we were sitting out by the play place, I saw the box like coming towards me, and I knew something was up. I swear, I thought she got the order wrong at first, and that was like a quarter pounder or something. Not a Big Mac. Well, of course, in my dedicated research, found the other consumers finding the same thing, but this time with fish.
Okay, so it was already small.
Oh my gosh.
The fillet of fish has shrunk by, I'd say, 20%.
That's like a cookie.
It is comically small. I know my hands are large, but that's ridiculous.
Yep, there were a lot of examples from McDonald's about the size of stuff shrinking. I guess in the future, I'm sticking with the nugs. Hold up, quick interruption. I wanted to cover a nice comment from one of my last videos. It was the holiday spending video, which a lot of people seem to really enjoy, and it had a lot of great comments. But I really enjoyed this one from Laura Ann 7816. Let's take a look. She says, Christmas. I have most of my decor, but we also get a new ornament every year. Then, of course, there are the main gifts, the stocking stuffers, teachers' gifts for my granddaughter, cards, stamps, wrapping supplies, a nice dinner on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. We have it at home, but soup to nuts, it can get costly. I do get things deeply discounted after Christmas, which is really true. All that stuff gets drastically cut in price, like right after Christmas. I buy things on sale whenever I can, and I earn a free ham from my grocery store. But still, my husband and I probably spend about $1,000 to $1,200. We start doing layaway for gifts in August. We did one every month since and just picked up the one in November. That helped with budgeting immensely. I put 0 on my credit cards, but that's just me personally. Of course, everyone should do what they can afford and what makes them happy. I thought that was a great comment, and I love how she said layaway because so many adults I remember mentioning layaway. They would do layaway at places like Ross or Walmart or Kmart, Rip Kmart, and that was like the way to pay for stuff back then if you didn't have the money. And it really helped people budget for what they want to get. I didn't even think places still did layaway. I was expecting they would just be like, hey, do a buy now, pay later thing and just rack up some crazy interest. And yes, that last sentence, everyone should do what they can afford and what makes them happy. So thanks again, Lauren Ann, for the comment, and let's get back into the video. So yeah, McDonald's, you're dead to me. I'm never going there again. That Big Mac totally soured me. I'm totally joking. I can't give up McDonald's. But I'll tell you what I did give up, getting stuff at the gas station. Just like my bro here. Unfortunately, stuff at gas stations is a trap now.
Hey guys, so as you guys probably know, my favorite gas station is Holiday. I love Holiday. I think it's the superior gas station to any other gas station. As a certified fat ass, I always go there every Monday to get my favorite snacks.
Props to
One
him.
of my favorite snacks is the 2-bite brownies that they have. But what I notice is that it seems that there are less brownies in here than usual. When I was a senior in high school, those brownies were $3.99 and it always had generally between 18 and 20 brownies in it. And now it has risen to $5.99, but it looks like there's less brownies. So I'm gonna count just to make sure. I've only counted 5 so far, and it looks like it's almost halfway done. Now we have a total of 10, and it looks to be about 3 left. So it turns out I'm correct. So yeah, 13 brownies. I'm a little disappointed. $5.99 for 13 little brownies. I'm aware that shrinkflation is a thing, but this is still disappointing.
So he totally got done dirty. He's got the loyalty to his favorite gas station. He's been going in there getting that same treat for years. The 2-bite brownies, committed, perfect customer. And he's a certified fat ass, so he definitely knows. He said it himself. But no, you weren't pulling a fast one on him. So he remembers what he was getting, and then he notices something's up. What's the total count? They're down to 13 little brownies in that case. And the price was higher. So I do wonder if he's gonna have to switch treats, but I feel really bad for him. That sucks. And like we said, it's not just us being affected. Others are suffering, our pets.
Everyone's doing it, so of course Nutrisource is doing it now too. All of the big bags used to be 30 pounds, went down to 26 pounds. And now the medium bags of Pure Vita are only 12 pounds instead of 15. Not to mention, the big bags of cat used to be 15 pounds, and they're also only 12 pounds now. The small bags are still 6.6. The small bags are still 6.6, but the Pure Vita small bags went down to 4 pounds. So frustrating. Like, we're just getting rid of good quality purchases. Like, how is this a bang for our buck if we're going to continuously go down in poundage? My guess is that companies are going to have to raise their poundages again, and people are going to be competing for bigger bags again in the future.
I don't have a dog, but I do see the prices on dog food, and it's crazy. It is way more expensive than cat food. But for our cats, we have definitely seen the difference in price and the amount you get on pet food. I mean, it's bad. So same deal, I try to get as much cat food as I can when they have it on BOGO, just to try to offset that increase in the price and the less that you're getting. And that's just such a shame too, because people aren't gonna wanna sacrifice for their pets. So food, pet food, what else? This next one, I've definitely seen a lot of people talk about this, makeup.
My video blew up overnight about the size change of the Milk makeup
Oh my
blushes.
gosh.
These are the same price. Let me be clear, this was not to be a smear campaign on Milk makeup, okay? I love Milk makeup. I think a lot of their products are worth the price. Also, I want to make it super clear, Milk has never paid me. I've never worked for Milk. However, I am a really long-time fan of them, and before I was an influencer, I was a consumer, and these opinions are my own. After seeing this was their old full size, this is their new full size, and seeing how much product you used to get versus now,
that is drastic.
it was a little crazy to keep these the same price. Would I ever use this much blush in my life? No. Would I ever use this much blush in my life? Clearly not. This being $24 when it used to be a Sephora freebie, the math doesn't math there for me. Nobody would use this much blush. Why did Milk even come out with this size? I don't know. Do I think they should have come out with this first for $24? Absolutely, because when you see this of what you could have gotten versus what you can get now for the same price, it kind of makes you go, why would I ever buy that now? Personally, I just feel like I wish this was like $16,
sort of product
even then,
change
that's a steep
there.
price, but Milk makeup is quality and really good. So I would actually purchase this for $16. Do I think we need to boycott Milk makeup? No. Do I think shrinkflation is real? Absolutely.
Yeah, the difference in those sizes was drastic. But it makes me think if the big difference in this size change there was possibly due to something through like the supplier, where they were able to get something for way cheaper at some point, so they just had the item be that big. They gave you a lot more for it, and it was something that they were able to do for the consumer. But then maybe something happened and they had to make like a serious change to the product, where they're getting it from, how it's being produced. So for them to make that big of a change, it might not just be because of price. There could be something else happening there. But I can understand the shock. As well as this next one, this guy had the evidence and he caught him in the act.
I thought I had run out of toilet paper, and then I remembered I had some stashed in the closet from about a year ago, actually. This is
a year ago.
Empty roll I took off, and obviously the new roll on there. And if you look, that's over a ½ inch, and by the way, I measured it.
Yeah, wow.
And it's the same brand I always buy. You can see the brand there. Caught you,
Bruh.
Shrinkflation. Gotta love it.
Yeah, so don't mess with that man's toilet paper. He knows what he's after, he knows what he buys, and yeah, he caught him. So I wonder if you were to do the math and do like the calculation for just how much is getting saved per roll and then like per pack, if they're taking off more than ½ inch on, you know, the width of it. This is an epidemic, it's out of control, and it's not just here in like, you know, the United States. This is worldwide.
Inflation is real, guys. So I opened a new batch of this Daiso clay and it felt a little off.
I love Daiso.
Like, the packaging felt off. The actual clay itself was fine, but it just felt like different. And it also looked like it was like a little less inside of that packaging. So I compared it to a last one, and it is literally so empty compared to the last one.
Yeah, the bag
they took off literally
is like the same size, though.
1/4 of the clay. This thing is so thin, and they thought that we wouldn't notice. Like, look at this. This is absolutely ridiculous. And the worst part is that they use the same bags that they used to use when it was fuller. So it's like the bag is too big for the amount of clays in there.
Oh, that's like a slap in the face. So Daiso is a 100 yen shop, which is the equivalent of like a dollar store in Japan. And whenever I'm in Japan, me and my wife love to go into Daiso because they have a lot of stuff there that's high quality. I mean, better than the dollar stores in America. And it's just cheap, but you can really get some good stuff there. And so that clay, that like crafting material, you know, she's probably using it for either a hobby or maybe she has a business where she makes stuff, but she noticed and she knew that she was getting the shrinkflation on that clay. And yeah, the fact that they kept it in like the same bag as like the previous like larger amount, that is just too much. I wish she would have shown the comparison between the two sizes, like listed on either the box or the bag, but she might not have had like the previous box where it was listed. Oh well. So kind of like hand in hand with all the shrinkflation talk is just the drop in overall like consumer quality that people are getting. And I know people have talked about it, and this next clip is a perfect example.
I just cooked 10 pounds of ground meat right here, right? Let me show you what inflation has done.
Spooky.
Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, barely 7 pounds of cooked meat. Now you tell me if inflation isn't real.
I'm guessing here that he's doing this meal prep and he has a system already in place, knows exactly what he's getting, knows exactly how much he's cooking. He's using the same containers, everything's the same, but he got hit with that drastic difference in the meat. And so, you know, it's totally prepackaged, it's saying 10 pounds of beef, so what happened? Most likely there is because there was a lot of water added to that meat. And so they're doing that to either keep the size the same or try to sell it off as being the same size. So instead of reducing the package and saying that there's only 6 or 7 pounds, they're keeping it at the 10 and they're totally watering it down so that when you cook it, all that water is gonna pretty much cook out, or you're gonna drain it out and be left with a lot fewer pounds than you thought you were getting for that meat when you bought it. And that really sucks too, because usually when you buy meat like that, that's already pound out in a larger amount, like 5 pounds, 10 pounds, you're expecting to get a better deal on it. So you're getting less quality meat, less total quantity, and you're probably still paying more than you were paying before. It would be really interesting if he could get another one of those same 10-pound packages and do another comparison. Cook it out, weigh it out, put it in the same containers, see if it's the same. Hopefully it's not less. And so that gets us into this next clip. I think this lady might have been kind of confused, and I don't think that this is a good comparison to make if we're trying to really bring the facts and stick it to shrinkflation and call out the companies doing this to us.
Not to be a little Debbie Downer about inflation or anything, but what is this? What is this? This is a brand new thing of cayenne. I have not opened it. Just brought it home from the store, and as you can see, the level is not at the top. Meanwhile, this little cinnamony guy over here, I have opened this. I've used it. It's been in my cabinet for some time, and they are the same level. Now I know that this is like so tiny in the grand scheme of things. Okay, this is itty bitty little boy, but just makes me a little upsetty spaghetti. I don't know.
Maybe I was getting sucked in by the ASMR nails clicking on the counter and on the little glass bottle there, but that's not like a valid comparison you can make between cayenne pepper and then cinnamon. And that was like the Great Value, which is the generic Walmart brand. So it was the small glass container for cayenne spice and the small glass container for cinnamon spice. But those are two different products, so you can't have an accurate comparison unless you're looking at what's stated on the label for how much is supposed to be in there. But she didn't do that, so there's really no comparison to make. So I don't know, maybe if you got some Great Value cayenne and some Great Value cinnamon in your spice rack or your pantry, see what the size is supposed to be and how much is actually supposed to be in there, and then get back to us. So this is just really gonna put more strain on customers having to look at the sizes of everything, having to look at the prices of everything, and really be a smart shopper. With the shrinkflation happening and the price increases, you really got to do your homework to be sure you're getting the best deal, you're not getting ripped off. And so you might think, well, I'm just going to buy the bigger size. You buy bulk, you save money. I always thought the same thing, and then I ran into this at my local grocery store. Okay, for example, this was weird. This is 45 bags that you get, 13 gallons. It's 18 cents each. If you buy more, 100 pack, it's 19.5. That doesn't make any sense. So not a huge discrepancy in the price per bag. I mean, it was like, 18 versus 19, but still, you would think, I'll buy the larger size, I'll be saving money in the long run. But when I saw that, it was like, no, I mean, for this instance, these trash bags for like a kitchen trash can, it wasn't true. And so it just goes to show you, you really have to be looking at the label, looking at the prices, finding the right item that is gonna give you the best value. Either way, it's tough out there. I would say for the most of us, it's never been harder to be a consumer. If you appreciated this video and the content that we covered today, be sure to like and subscribe so we can hang out again. and it really helps new channels, so I definitely appreciate it. Plus, if you have a question or comment about shrinkflation or anything else, leave it down below and I might feature it in my next video. Until then, I've been Destin Prime, you've been you, and people, remember, big corporate business is always trying to find ways to raise profit and to decrease costs. So be on the lookout, be vigilant, and be a smart shopper. Later.